Hello and welcome back to the Silent Mentality Podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm Ted.
And today we are going to be talking about high performance. That's high performance in anything, everything, everyday life. I feel like it's a good topic to hit on. I've been listening to a lot of the high performance guys. So I said to Ted, let's do a podcast on high performance. So as they start off the high performance podcast, Ted, what do you think high performance is?
What do I think high performance is? You've probably put me in the deep end here because you just threw out the topic on me right now.
Yeah.
You're nice and prepped. I think high performance is just the ability to work and keep striving towards your goals in a fast and efficient manner. In a way where no matter how you feel, you still strive. High performance.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, where we link, I think the way we link high performance, well, for me anyway, is more of a sporting endeavour.
Yeah, well, that's our thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be, like, obviously people link it to business, sport, everyday life. There's so many things, like music, there's so many things to link it to. But, I don't know, it got me thinking while I was listening to it, because I always ask that same question every time. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, like Mark Cavendish says it's like being world class. And then you've got someone like Stephen Bartlett who's like just succeeding in whatever you like put your mind to. It's like, well, they're the same answer, just two different disciplines.
Worded slightly differently. Yeah. I think the fitness first approach is a really good approach, to be fair, because if you want to be high performance or successful almost in any area of your life, I think fitness is a really good place to start.
It teaches you a lot of discipline, fitness.
Yeah, it does. And it sucks. It's not, I mean, once you've done it a lot, it's fun, but it still hurts.
Yeah.
Especially when you start. If you go out on a run, you're hurting. Your legs hurt, your lungs hurt. It's not an enjoyable thing, but you have to do it anyway.
I feel like you get to a point where, I don't know, I've been at that point now where fitness is, sometimes it'd be a chore because you know you've got to go do it. Other times it could be like you wake up like wanting to do it.
Like excited.
Yeah. I feel like there's a very fine line between the two once you've done it enough. But it's still that thing that you either look for at the start of your day or you wait for at the end of your day. They're like the two ways that I look at it.
How do you mean? Sorry.
So like this morning, let's say, woke up at 4 to go to work, got to work at 5:20, and I didn't start work until 6. So I was like, right, I'll do like a half hour now. That set me up so nicely for the rest of today. Yeah. That I feel like I've done, like even half hour's worth of just like resistance training. I feel like I've done so much within that half hour to set me up so nicely for the rest of the day that I come to yours, I'm ready to do a run, I'm motivated from then on. Yeah. And I'm going boxing later. But on some days where I just do it at the end of the day, the majority of the time I do it at the end of the day, you're waiting to do it at the end of the day. Like
you're thinking about it throughout the day, still haven't done it, still need to do it, yeah.
Like some people are there like, at the end of the day, I can't do it at the end of the day because I'm tired, I've run out of energy, I've been to work. Other people like me where it's like, it like rounds my day off so nicely. Yeah. Because you're finishing with something that you actually enjoy doing, you love doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know, especially where I've been.
Well, you're at the stage now where you can do both.
Yeah.
Wake up, do it in the morning. Yeah. Then midday and end.
I quite like it.
Yeah.
Like it means that I'm sort of getting more for my buck.
More bang for your buck.
More bang for your buck.
I've started doing 2 sessions a day now. Weightlifting and stuff like that. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I never do mornings, to be fair. I'm always like a midday guy. Wake up, have my excessive amounts of caffeine and my breakfast. All of the water. I do all of my work in the morning, get as much done as I can. And then in the midday. But I think that's the thing is, especially on the topic of high performance and doing the best you can, is you have to find out what's right for you. Like some people, it's not one size fits all. You have to find out what works for you as an individual and then do it like that. But I do think the most important thing when it comes to working hard in any area of your life is no matter how you feel when you wake up, is you have to do it anyway. Like you wake up and you feel unmotivated. I probably don't feel motivated for at least 60-70% of the days, but I get up and do it anyway because I know that I have to do it in order to get better at what I want to do.
I like one of the things that they say, like going back onto like what you're saying, do what like you do. One thing that they say on the High Performance podcast again is, I posted it yesterday actually, it's like comparison is the thief of joy. And like when I heard that first of all, I was like, you know when you get like shivers, you're like, fucking hell, like that relates so well. Where it's like you look at all these, especially social media these days, like you look at all these people doing what they're doing, you're like, you either put them down, but they're not going to hear you. You either say in your mind like, oh, I could do better than that, or like, oh, I bet they're not doing that every day. Like, so you say it in your mind, but like you're like, why are you actually? Like, I always do. I look at it, I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking that.
You shouldn't be comparing it to anyone else.
Yeah, you're on your own journey. Like, they're in a different place to where you are. Just do what you can do. Do the best like that you can do daily, and then you might actually be doing better than them.
Yeah, it's so true. Whenever we speak to someone or we're in a situation where we're comparing ourselves to someone else, we just assume that they have all of their shit together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get it, but I feel like it's quite a common thing. You meet someone for the first time and instantly you just assume that they've got all their shit together, everything's brilliant, everything's great. But it actually makes no sense to compare yourself to anyone else because they aren't you. They live a different life. They have different strengths, different weaknesses, different cards dealt in their life. So it makes literally no sense to compete with them.
Yeah.
The only person you should genuinely compete with is who you were yesterday. Because that's the only person who's on the same playing field as you is you.
Yeah.
So that's the only person if you're playing a football match, like Premier League, they're all Premier League players, right? So they're just playing one sport, one football. All that matters is the football, and they're all the same level. But if you're competing in life, you're not playing in the same league. You're not playing on the same pitch. You're playing by different rules. So it makes no sense to compare yourself to anyone else but yourself and who you were yesterday.
I think that's so well said as well.
Thank you. I'm getting better at this.
Yeah, that was well said.
Yeah.
What another question from the High Performance Podcast. Just stealing all the questions now. I would like to know like what I would answer as well as like what you would answer as well. Yeah. It's quite interesting because, like, what is a high achiever? What is a high performer?
We have different standards, I think.
Everyone has a different. Everyone's got a different outlook. Yeah, you might turn around and say, "Oh, I agree with what they said." Actually, like I do agree that to me is what a high performer, a high achiever is. But then it's also the fact of like, but there's also this bit as well. You can always add or you can always take something away. You can always agree. You can always disagree. But I think like for me, a high performer is someone who has shown resilience in what they do. If you show resilience in what you do, you're a high performer in your own right. I feel like that's so important because it's not to say, right, Lance Armstrong was the best at cycling in the world. He's the only high performer.
Right, okay. He's against other high performers. He's just performing better.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just performed better.
Yeah.
That X amount of times.
What does high performance look like for Travis Owls in your life?
It's just resilience. If I can be resilient, if I can set goals, if I can be determined to go get the goals, that to me is a high performer. You could be a high performer in your own right. As long as you've got, like what we said in the last podcast, as long as you've got that upward trajectory, even if it's always going to be up, down, always, undulating. Undulating, yeah.
Undulating.
If it's always, you're always going to have the up, down, you're always going to have like the narrow. It's all about, if you zoom out that wider picture of you're always going up, that to me is a high performer. Someone who's always achieving their best at the time and place that they're wanting to achieve it.
That's so true. Because I think the way I'd see it now is I might have 2-3 days where I don't perform as well as I'd like. I might not be as fast paced and I'm not doing all the habits I want to do. And I'll be like, oh, that was a shit week because I didn't do as much as I'd like to have done. So that's a bit of a downhill. But then if I zoom out, that week, it was probably 10 times more productive than the weeks I was having a good week 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it doesn't,
I would love to create a chart to see where in life, over 23 years, where I would be. Because I believe myself it's gone up.
Yeah.
I've had many downs. Like 5 years ago when I was like 18, being at uni, having that down of not doing anything, sitting around doing absolutely nothing. But still, the 18 years prior to that, obviously you're growing, you're learning, you're constantly going up and up and up. Back in school when I was doing barely anything for trying to study, no like revision, all of that, getting bad grades, gone down again. But still, if you just zoom out, you'll be able to see that it is going up.
Do you find that those like hardest times actually lead you on to your highest times of growth? Like,
yeah. You've always got to have the lows to bring on the highs. If you don't have the lows, you're never going to learn. If you don't have the times that you are in the deepest times of your thoughts, if you don't have the times where you're failing at everything, then you're never going to learn. You've got to have as much failure as you do success to be able to learn. You don't learn a lot from success other than you can. The things that you learn from failure isn't that I can't, it's the I will do this way instead.
Yeah, you learn what not to do next time. You learn the 1,000 ways to do it wrong before you learn the one way to do it right.
The people that, like, I've heard loads of people talk about failure and success. The people that say they've succeeded, they might stay on that success for a long time.
Yeah.
But one day, someone who has failed thousands of times has learned how to do it properly and how to reach that success level that they probably don't know because they've done it a couple of times and they haven't learned too much from it other than they have reached the success, and that's that.
Failure is definitely one of the biggest things that stop people from trying things.
Yeah.
For sure. There's this like obsession with not wanting to fail in public. And is that to your friends or your family? You don't. If you put out on social media, oh, I want to run a marathon, I'm raising money for charity, I'm doing it in 6 months' time, and then there's that. A lot of people have so much fear of them not completing it that they actually don't even start that journey. Yeah. They go, oh, I'm not going to bother doing that because I could never do it. It's like, no, you're just scared of not being able to.
I feel like I've been a little bit guilty of that.
We all have.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. None of us are perfect at all.
Bit of a hypocrite. Speaking about it, but I've definitely been guilty of that, like boxing.
Yeah,
my whole boxing journey. At the moment, I'm swerving off of boxing. For me, where it's such an individual sport, it's a dog-eat-dog world in boxing. It's one of those places where if you foul, it's foul because you got punched in the head too many times. As a guy, that is like, I don't know. It's what is it, like manlyhood? Is it manlyhood?
Like the ego. Really,
yeah, that's what it is.
It's like alpha on alpha.
That's it. It's your ego shattered more than anything else. But I'm afraid of failing in boxing because the ego that surrounds it.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be a world champion boxer, I know I would have to go through that failure.
You will, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Even those micro failures, like when you go to the gym and you spar someone who you think you're better at, but then they hit the first punch harder, and then you're a bit dazed for the rest of the fight. And you lose the spar, and you're like, fuck, I should have been able to take him out easily.
It's the fights that always worried me.
Yeah.
Always. It was building up towards like one of those fights. You wouldn't have much sleep for 2 weeks, trying to get your cut, trying to make your weight, and then going into the ring, you're like, oh, if I lose this, like, there's more on the line than what you... There's more on the line in your head than there is in real life.
Yeah, but the thing with boxing as well, though, is that people don't really realise is, you're there and you might win or lose, but you could actually also, you could die. People die in boxing.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't say common, I don't know, but it's not uncommon for people to die or get damaged.
It's a combat sport. I mean, that's what...
It's a gladiator.
Yeah, that is what it's sort of like founded on, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all like, everyone's in there to... You could jump in the ring with the wrong person. You could jump in the ring with the right person. I like to believe that I'm the right person to jump in the ring with because I'm not in there to knock your head off. I'm in there to try and out-skill.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I always tell myself this when I go into a boxing ring. It's just a sport.
Yeah.
It's just a sport. That's how I got through my first fight. That's how I've got through the other 6. But I tell myself before I get in the ring, it's just a sport.
Yeah.
It's not a fight. It's boxing. Other people go in there saying it's a fight.
Yeah.
That's the times that I get more worried because then it's like they're not out here to prove themselves. It's out here to prove to everyone else that they could beat someone up.
Right, yeah.
That's the wrong reason to get in a boxing ring. But that's going off on a tangent.
Do you think at like the highest level that might be a good thing to have though? Like if Tyson Fury went into a fight with a guy who's there just to rip his head off, he needs to go and be like, I need to murder this man.
I feel like the people you got to look at for it are Usyk. Boxing's a disciplined sport. If you don't have the discipline behind you, like the people on the world stage, obviously they've got there because they're very, very skilled boxers. I'm not taking that away from them. but they haven't reached that top level because they didn't have that final bit of discipline. I think Usyk is such a disciplined boxer where he's fighting, like he was fighting for his country.
Yeah.
Not just for him. He was in a boxing ring for his country.
Right.
He was in a boxing ring to prove to the world that Ukrainian boxers are the best. Ukraine is a strong country just from this one guy getting in the ring.
Right, okay.
That to me is determination, discipline. Then you've got someone like Fury and AJ. I'm not saying anything against them, so to say. They're amazing boxers. Obviously, what Fury's come through is unbelievable. And he's... I feel like there's two sides to Fury. No one knows what side he's actually in it for. Is he in it for the money or is he in it for his personal development? It's a soft subject. I think he's in it for his personal development. But AJ, again, another soft subject. But more money. That's what I think. It's,
I mean, I don't know anything about boxing to give you.
I don't know too much other than what I've sort of seen and
heard.
Yeah. Like I'm going off of other people's opinions as well as like mine. But the only person I can really think of who's got that at the moment, that discipline, is Usyk. There obviously are other people out there, but the reason why I don't want to become a pro boxer is because it's so money driven now that you've got to put on an act.
It seems quite political. You can be a great boxer, but if you can't sell tickets, no one's gonna.
That's the problem with boxing.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's going well off of topic.
Yeah, bring in boxing back to this high performance thing. We were talking about failure earlier. After you, because you had a fight that you lost for a title,
national title. Yeah.
So what? How did you come back from it? Like, what lessons were learned? Just tell me about that.
For initial, the things with that one, right? It was really weird because you fight the week before in your semi-final. Well, I fought the week before in my semi-final, and then the final was obviously the week after.
Yeah.
The semi-final fight, that was my first ever amateur fight, which is mental in itself. There weren't a lot of people at my weight, so it was just sort of like jump straight in, go into it. It's alliance boxing, so it's a little bit different to England boxing, for anyone who's like a boxer. So going into that first fight, the guy had 10 fights, I had 0.
Right, okay, yeah. So you kind of got up there on a technicality.
Yeah, well, it's the whole thing was like novice championship,
right,
so under 10 bouts was a novice.
Yeah.
So I jumped in with him, experienced boxer, and he was class. And fortunately, I won it because it was sort of like outworked on the day. I won it because I had better work rate. The next week, we obviously knew who the fighter was because he was there, and there were rumours around my club and around the alliance that he had been boxing for a lot longer than what he said. He moved from England boxing into the alliance, is what I heard. So I think he's had about 30 bouts.
Right, okay.
And he's gone for a national title. And the
You had
year
one?
after, I had one at that point, yeah. And the year after, he wanted to turn pro. You can't turn pro on 10 bouts.
Right, okay.
Unless you're like extremely good.
Yeah.
He was a southpaw, so it was already awkward for me. He's so like apparently had all this experience, and he's won other titles in the England boxing. Straight away, it gets into your head, and you start having disbelief in yourself.
Yeah.
Straight away from hearing that. Well, I do anyway. Fight's been and gone. I felt like I got battered, but at the same time, it was like I actually came out of there, lasted the 3 rounds, and was pretty proud of myself. His hand got lifted. Some people were shocked. Personally, I wasn't. I knew that he won it. He was a good boxer. Like, fair play to him afterwards. You go shake his hand. And then I stupidly, out of spite, went, how many boxing fights you really had then, mate? Stupidly. And I do regret saying it, because now I'm fueling the what is it? Like the opinions of everyone else as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just said, I've had 10, mate. And you're like, you ain't. You fuel yourself up for it. And it's like, do you know what? I did lose because he was a better boxer. Whether he's had 30 bouts or 1, he did perform better than me. You can make all these excuses up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to terms now where it's like, you grow from it.
Yeah.
The fight after that, I went in and it was a London belt fight. And I said to myself, right, from that point on, from that loss on, I've learned what it feels like to lose in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
I've learned how much work rate you've got to put in, how much skill you've got to get. I had about 3 months of just training.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm not losing this next fight. Went in, won the fight, felt good. And then boxing from that point on fizzled again. I feel like it fizzled because that confidence of, right, I've just won. I'm now a 2-1 boxer in amateur.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. I'm on a positive.
Right, okay. Take time and run. Yeah,
I've got a belt. I'm second in the nation. Let's take it at that.
Right, yeah. Fair
I'm at this high. I'm scared to go lower.
Yeah.
And then have one more fight. Fortunately, won that. It was an extremely close fight.
It was a good fight though.
It was a very insane fight. Very insane, but I can't get hit like that every week.
I couldn't speak after that.
I couldn't breathe.
I was shouting so loud. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised.
I came out with it with a bruised nose, with a black eye, and 100% concussion.
Mm-hmm. So would you say you've brought those lessons into what you're doing now?
100%.
Functional fitness and running.
Yeah, 100%. I think what I learned through boxing as well, where I was like extreme and stuff like that, is you can do so much individual sport, but you still need to have that support around you from others. And if you don't have that support around you from others, then the individual sport isn't for you.
Yeah.
Or you just shuffle yourself.
Yeah, because that's like with our... if me and you had never have met, I doubt I would have done as many of the ultras that I've done.
I wouldn't have even started ultras.
Right, because like
100%.
when you have... Because when I first started running, I did my first marathon in 2019. That was it was lonely. It was a very lonely journey.
I was on the sidelines.
You were, yeah, you came. But when on that training, that first year of training, I had my PT, great guy. I pretty much call him out in every podcast we have. Dan, great guy. Yeah, but it was very lonely. Like no one actually cares if they don't do it themselves. No, you don't even tell people. They don't care that you went out for a 20-mile run that day. They literally, that means nothing to them. I went for 20 miles, and they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's lonely. But then when you start to do it, eventually you find the people that like it too. And then I had you to talk about it with, and then I had Callum to talk about it with, and then we started out Run Club, and then people came, and we had people to talk about it with. And then that excites you more because you're around it. It's so true. We spoke about it on the last podcast, but it's like you really are like the average of your 5 friends.
Yeah.
You know, the people you spend the most time with, you will become. And if we're around savages and other people doing these things, it's almost like a given that we end up doing all of these ultras because everyone else is.
That's a question. Another question from the High Performance Podcast. What values do the people around you have to buy into?
What do you mean? Clarify me out.
So, the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
If you're in a team, what values do they have to bring to that team?
Oh, right. Okay.
I thought it was pretty well worded the first time.
Yeah, sorry. I just didn't... I just struggled to understand English for a little bit there. Oh, that's a good question, to be fair. Definitely the most important thing is... Do they have... There's a few. One of them's definitely... Do they have the discipline to work hard when they don't want to? I think that's so important because if you only train when you feel like it, then if I'm with someone who only trains when they feel like it, that'll bleed onto me, and I'll only start training when I feel like it. But I have to train every day. I've got races. I've got things to get better at. Another one is definitely cheer on each other's successes. I've been around people enough that cheer you on whilst you're trying. Yeah, man, that's great. You're going for it. And then you achieve it, and they're like, yeah, cool. And it's almost like they liked it when you were trying, but then as soon as you did something that made them question themselves, they didn't like it anymore. So they definitely have to actually want to be excited by your successes. Like when I went to your boxing match, I've never shouted so loud in my life. And I was like, Travis is going to rip this guy in half. I was like, when you won, mate, it was like, ah! You know, like, I've been around people before that just don't care about your successes. They judge it on you. That's the second one. And I'll just go for 3 because 3's the magic number, right? So I think the third one is, oh, God. Yeah, no, I shouldn't have said I'm going to do a third one. I should have ended it there. Yeah, no, but I think they're probably the 2 ones. They have to have the discipline and the hard work themselves.
Yeah.
They have to. and they also have to cheer for your success.
Yeah.
I think you should always be around people that cheer for your successes.
People that lift you up, not put you down.
Yeah, I think it's a very British thing as well, is that the culture, and it is funny at times, but the British humour is put your friends down a lot. But sometimes you're not sure when someone's actually overstepping it and there's got some fuel behind it, you know. So it's got to be a good balance, I guess. But what about you? What's your team saying?
I feel like mine, but very, very similar.
Yeah.
But I think mine are like, people who are determined to do something great for themselves.
Yeah.
If you've got... I want people who have their goal set out.
Yeah.
If you've got a clear vision of what you want to do tomorrow, a week's time, a year's time, in life, if you've got that goal and you're heading that way, they're the people I want to surround myself with. Because then I want to help them.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, if you've got something that you're striving for, then I will be a support system for you to fuel you on as well. Yeah. Because then you'd want it back. Like, it works both ways. I feel like that's definitely one massive value, I think. And the other one is, I think good communicators as well. Someone who will say to you, right, you're not doing this. Yeah. Can you do this? Let's do this together. Sort of like people who tell you straight and can actually word it quite nicely. Yeah. I feel like that's a weird way of saying it because I can't word things nicely at all. Yeah. But it's like the people who will motivate you in the right way, who know you and can motivate you that way, and people who can put you down in the right way because they know you and you can do it vice versa to them. I feel like if you've got a good, strong relationship with someone, with your team, with your friends, with your surroundings, then you'll fuel each other on no matter what is said. Yeah, that's true. Because I think, like, if I'm in a business with someone, for example, and I'm not pulling my weight, obviously they need to tell me. But instead of just like shouting down, "Your shit, you've done this, you've done that," now I'm just pissed off. Yeah, it's like it should be more right. There's clearly some problems here. We're not performing as well as we need to. What can I do differently to help you achieve that level? Yeah, I feel like it's a good question to think of as well, like for yourself, because obviously these are the questions that when I'm listening to our performance, I'm like, oh, that's a good, like, what do I believe in? What? Yeah. And it's a lot easier to say in your mind than it is out loud. But then you start thinking about the people that you actually surround yourself with, like my mates, where it's you, Fred, Callum, where it's like, I've got a very small circle of friends. Yeah. I don't branch out that much. I've literally had the same 4 friends. Now it's dropped down to 2 because later on in life, things happen, stuff fizzles out, goals are different. But I've always kept Fred and Callum like since year 7. Yeah. Which has been really weird. And obviously, like adding in other people. I got let in into the small circle. But it's weird because you see the values in everyone that you do let in. Yeah. Like I would say that you're one of my close mates. Yeah. Fred, Callum, Matt as well, to be fair, from the gym, letting him in as well, like all close friends, because you can see that you all buy into the same values. Yeah. I don't know, it's really weird like that. It's true. It's like you almost get a feeling straight away. Yeah. You'll know the very first sort of conversations you have with them. You can still have a laugh with them, but if your values don't like align, it fizzles out and ends. I think it's also one of those things, just like savage. Yeah, fellow savage. Yeah. Because like that goes a long way. Because it's like, because I was saying this to Fred the other week, where he doesn't do ultras, he doesn't do this, that, and the other, but he's an incredible tennis player. Yeah. And he's training hard at being a tennis player, but that's his savagery. Yeah. Like that's his version of ultra marathons, where he's playing against some of the best players in like Essex. Yeah, exactly. It's like savage. Wants to get good at something. Yeah. I think that's really important. It's because for me personally, I don't really see a point to my life unless I'm trying to get good at something. I've always got that one step. Yeah, because it's otherwise I'm just floating through life. I'm getting blown from one place to another place. It's like I need a direction. I need to know where I'm going so that when the day finishes and I get down in bed, I'm like, that was a good day. I'm proud of what I achieved today. And you have one chance to build your life. I thought about this the other day. I was journaling, which I started journaling again for the first time, and it's helped me a lot. Like concise. I was about to say that.
What?
How do you like write out your goals or write out what you do during the day? But now you've answered it without even asking.
Yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, and it's one way that I thought about it is you don't have to be perfect off the bat, because if you have the when there's a show going on, like a theatre production, they have months and months and months of rehearsals, dress rehearsals, learning scripts. That curtain's not even open yet. You've got months to prepare. You've got months to get good. And that's the stage I feel like I'm in now. I'm preparing. I'm becoming the very best version of myself with the hard work, doing the rehearsals, doing the dress rehearsals. So then one day, when I'm at my level of like finished product, well, you never finish, but at a level where I'm like, I'm ready to show the world what I'm made of now, I'll pull that curtain down and I'll have put in the rehearsal, I put in the graft. So then I come out and my show is fucking amazing. Yeah. I have one life to give the world the best show ever. And when that curtain opens, it's going to be the best fucking show ever.
Ted Stroud at the top, lights flicking,
bang, 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 yeah.
Music playing. What would you be your walkout song?
I walk out to the Oppenheimer soundtrack as 2 spotlights go onto my face. Hello.
I'm Ted Stroud.
But yeah, I think that's what true is. Like, I don't care that I'm not perfect now. I will never be perfect, but I'm striving for perfection, which I know will never come. It's a never-ending journey.
Well, the thing is, it's perfect for you.
Yeah, it's perfect for me.
Everyone's got their different perfect. Mm-hmm. It's whatever your perfect is. Yeah. There's no such thing as perfect to a whole society, but there's perfect to you.
To you. It's so true. So many people live so many different lives and are happy with 2 very different outcomes. But I still think... I personally believe the only way you can ever truly be happy is if you feel like you're making positive progress in your life. I just couldn't. Every time I've got lazy and not done anything for a day, I've never been like, I am happy. Yeah,
I start debating everything around me.
Yeah.
Everything around me. Because it's like, I don't know. I've started journaling as well, obviously, in the high performance book.
Yeah, nice.
High performance journal.
How are you finding journaling?
I like it. I'm not a big reader.
Right.
With ADHD, it's fucking hard to concentrate. I can't sit there and read a book. Audio books. When I'm if I'm doing something else, then I can hear or read, but it's hard to read while doing something else.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Like that's why phone's perfect, because you've got things moving.
There's so many things going on at once. Yeah.
But with journaling, it's good because it actually makes me sit down and think.
Yeah.
Like that's purposely built to do one a day.
Right. Okay.
So it's good to sit there and actually reflect on. Like, the first question is literally, what does high performance mean to you?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the first thing in the book. You're like, straight away, sit down, read that. You're like, read it again because I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then, like, 50 times over, you're like, right, now I know. So it's good to reflect on all the questions that are being asked to you. It's like having a podcast in your mind.
Yeah.
Because, like, where we're saying it out loud, I'm thinking so much when I read that.
Yeah.
And it does make me think about my goals, my ambitions. What do I actually want to get out of life as a whole? What do I want to get out today? What do I want to get out tomorrow? What did I get out of yesterday? I feel like there's such good things to like reflect on and always moving forward in a positive direction on. So, I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it is working.
Yeah.
I'm only a week in.
Yeah.
But it's quite, my handwriting's shit, so I'm not going to be able to read.
You can never read it back. Yeah.
So it's good to think about then and there, but I will never be able to know what it says tomorrow.
Yeah. I think, like, for me, my 2 biggest benefits from journaling, one, I started because I was like, I need to get better at communicating, because I think that's probably one of the most important skills in life.
Yeah.
So if you can sit in a room with people and make it very crystal clear of what you're trying to say and communicate, then everyone's going to sit and listen, and you can get your point across and you can make things happen. Whereas if you're in a room, maybe no one's listening. Yeah. Everyone's lost interest. Nothing's going to get done. So it was like, if I can start writing and articulate my thoughts in a structured manner, then that'll come out when I'm speaking as well. That was the reason I started. And then, but the thing I like to write about is who I am, what I want to do, who I want to become, how I'm doing at the moment.
Can you share some?
Yeah, one of the things that one of them was the idea that life's preparing for the big show. That's one of the things that I wrote about. But one of the things that I've got really big on at the moment is I've changed the wording for myself. I don't goal set. I target set.
Hey.
Right? Okay. So a goal to me would be a very precise thing. I want to do a sub 130 marathon.
Yeah.
Half marathon, not marathon, because I'm not the fastest man that's ever lived.
Ah,
Right,
you
yeah. You never
That's
know.
one of the goals, that one.
But for me, a target is, you look at it in archery, it has the center, all the different, I can't remember the colours, but the different points, right? And sometimes, as long as you're shooting towards that target, it doesn't matter where where the arrow lands, as long as it's hitting the direction of that target. Some days you'll shoot the arrow and bang, you'll hit straight in the center. Some days you hit the edge, but you have a target, so you know what you want to hit. So for example, instead of me writing, I want to hit a 130 marathon, it's I want to make sure I'm doing at least 8 exercise sessions a week at some point in the future. So it isn't, right, you have to now, from this day onwards, make sure you're hitting 8 sessions every single week. It's just put your arrows towards that target. First day you go, maybe I'll put the 2 in today. It's like a long-term objective.
Do you think that's sort of contemplating for, like, putting your own self off of, like, sort of failing in that? So it's like, instead of saying, I'm going to do 8 sessions, it's now, I could do 8 sessions, but as it's only the target, I could do 4.
So are you saying it, like, gives me
leeway?
Yeah,
It gives you leeway, yeah.
So I, to some level, that, yes, because that is the strategy I've gone with. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Is before, I'd be at normal workout, I'd do 5 a week. I was like, bang, I'm going to do 2 sessions every day from this moment onwards. I'd do it for 2 days in a row and then stop. And then I'd be like, I've lost it. I failed my goal. I'd hate myself for it. But it's like, this is literally a human life. It doesn't go straight line every single time.
So just keep yourself sort of realistic.
Yeah, so it is like, I'm setting the target and I know what I want to get. But if I sometimes don't hit the bullseye, I'm not going to be upset because at least I'm shooting towards that target.
The right direction.
And then the thing is, if you're an archer and you take your first ever shot, you're probably going to hit the shitty bits on the target. But after a year of doing it every day, you're going to be hitting the bullseyes every single day.
Yeah. See, I'm different.
Yeah.
Because I do look, when I was writing down my goals and ambitions for, like, when I was saying, like, the 5 years, the 1 year, what I want to get next month, let's say, I would, like, write it down, read it, and go, oh, I might have overshot that. Scribble it out, and then be like, why have I scribbled it out? And then just write it back down again. I'm like, no, that's the goal I'm going for. Yeah. That's what I'm going to stick to. And if I get myself out of the mindset of, no, scared of that. Just go for it, full force. Then I know that I'm just going to hit that. That's my goal. That's what I want to get. I'm not going to talk myself out of it, because that's the one. If I thought about it before, that's what I'm going for. Yeah.
So I see your way. My question for you is, let's say you've gone and set yourself a target of, let's say I feel like the 2 sessions a day is quite a big target for a lot of people. Like once you've done that, you're on your way to being like a good athlete, I'd say. Is some days though, you might say, if that's your target, 2 a day, right? And then you do it for 3 days, it's good. And then you start to get little, like, niggles in your legs. Things start to hurt. And now it's like, can you sacrifice going, okay, instead of doing the second session, I'll do the 1 session and a load of stretching. So I've only done 1 session, but I'm still going towards the target. I'm not going to be upset at myself.
It'd still be, that's the thing, like, you can always switch. It's one of those things where, let's say my goal, I'll release my goal, is to get a world record.
Yeah.
In April, go for that world record. Yeah. Get that world record. That's the goal that's written down. That's not one of those ones that I crossed out, but that's a goal. That's the one that I'm like, I can do that whether or not someone tells me I can or can't. That's the goal. Yeah. If anything takes me off of that path, it will be injury, or it will be, that's it.
Scared of the dark, so quick.
Yeah, scared of the dark, yeah. It would literally just be injury would take me off of that. Yeah. But injury or other circumstances, let's say. But that's the goal. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm building up to. Yeah. And that's in my mind, imprinted in my mind, where it's like, that's what I'm going for. There's always going to be those unrealistic goals that people are like, nah, you're not going to get that.
But at least you've tried to shoot for it.
Yeah. That's true. But at least you've taken those steps to strive towards it, and you could be so close to it.
Yeah.
Then just go for it again.
Yeah, that's true. So you take quite a strict approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to. Yeah. I think that's just where I lay it down so that then I can then turn around and say, right, now I create the overall goal, and then I work backwards from there.
Yeah.
So then this is my goal, how I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like, let's say goals in April, right? World record. The first step before, like just after that, is right. Need to know where to do it. Need to know who to do it with. What do I want the event to look like? Who do I want to be involved? How am I going to, like, how many times a weekend am I going to train? What are my splits? What do I need to focus on?
Yeah.
And narrow it all down. So it's this triangle pyramid of the goals at the peak.
Yeah.
And then I've got 4, 5, 6 sections outlining step number 1.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah.
How am I going to train? Split that into their little subsections. Running.
You proper break it down. Compartmentalize.
Yeah. Because I've got that one overall goal. I know what I'm hitting.
Yeah.
But then I've got my tasks.
Yeah.
To then hit to be able to get there in the 7 months that there is till that goal.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're very like the organised, strict approach.
Yeah. Which is weird because I'm not an organised person.
Yeah.
But I'm organised. That's what I found as well. I'm very organised in things I want to be organised in.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true of most people, isn't it, to be fair? If you care about it, you're organised and you make it happen.
It's like if I'm like, oh, do the washing. I'll do that later. Do a workout, do that run out.
Yeah. Whereas one of the things, like with moving into this flat by myself, is I want to keep it tidy.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I may as well do the dishes whilst I'm cooking. So you just find the value.
I want more than a need.
Yeah, and I think because one of the things, going back to like the journaling and talking about the targets and stuff, one of my targets, which I think is probably everyone in the world's target really, is I want to stop caring about what people say to me if I don't want to be like that person. So if it's someone who I really look up to and really like, you're someone that I have a lot to learn from, and they say something to me, then it will have some value to it. Yeah. I'm like, well, actually, I probably need to reflect on that. But if someone says something to me that I don't want anything to be like, I don't want to be like them, I don't look up to them at all, and they say something to put me down, I want to get to a point where I literally, it's just like a stone wall. Like, I don't give a shit, mate. Like, which someday, this is why I talk about the target, right? Is some days someone will throw a dig at me and it will just like bounce off like armor. Cause I'm like, mate, you're shit anyway. I don't care. Right. But if some days they'll throw a dig and you might feel just be a bit of a down, shitty mood, and it hits you hard and you think about it more. And like but I can't be upset at myself for that happening to me. As long as I know where my objective is, because then I can remind myself when I'm feeling shit. So that's where, for me, I think setting the target, you don't have to hit them all the time, but as long as you have the targets in the right place and you aim for them, then you're on the right track. You can't expect yourself. I think is a big thing, which I especially did at first in the beginning of my personal development journey, was I want to do this, and this, build this business, make this much money, I want to work out this much time a day, and then you realise you've just gone from 0 to 100, and that's why I stopped taking such strict approach to myself, because it was getting me down, because I'd be doing loads but not doing everything, and then I'd feel shit about myself. Whereas as long as I do, like, I need to build it up sustainably, build the foundations properly, I've done 80% of the things that I've said I needed to do. I'm a bit miffed that I didn't do the other 20%, but I'm still proud that I did that 80%. I don't know if that was a bit of a ramble, but
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So.
Right, let's start rounding it off here. I think
yeah.
I've got one more question.
Go for it.
I can't remember what the question was.
Should we end with some quick fire questions?
Yeah, go on, quick fire questions.
Yeah, go on. Have you got your first one?
I just forgot my first one. No, I forgot it.
What would your one piece of advice be for someone who's already quite fit, already been in the gym, and wants to take it up to the next level?
Okay. I would say, instead of giving that advice, I would just say think about what you're doing it for. Think about that higher purpose.
Yeah.
What is it you're trying to get out of it? What you actually in there? What's the sole reason? It all goes back to that sole reason of signing up to the gym, going out for that one run. Go back to that sole reason that you even started in the first place.
Find your why.
Yeah, find your why.
Yeah,
find your why. Simon Sinek, that's the guy. That's who I was talking about. Simon
I
Sinek.
saw him with Stephen Bartlett.
That's the guy who I was saying about. Find your why. That was back in the car. That was a while ago now.
That's not in the top.
No.
Yeah.
My question for you is: what is one tip you can give to someone who's looking to live a high performance life?
Give yourself deadlines. Sign up for events. For example, you want to live. I'm going to use the running because I'm a runner. Sign up for a marathon in 8 months' time, because then, no matter how you feel, you have to perform on the day of that race. You turn up and you get in your head, I feel shit, I'm tired, I didn't sleep well, feel a bit sick. It doesn't matter. The race, the gun's going to go off and there's going to be a cut-off time. You have to perform. And then when you have that race and you have that deadline in your head, it will remind you every day when you're being lazy. When you're being lazy, you need to feel guilty to some degree. You need to go, I've got to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So give yourself deadline dates and sign up for events. I think that's a good way.
I like it.
Yeah.
I feel like we should round it off there.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you for listening to the Silent Mentality podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. I never know
Good
to sign these
No,
off.
neither do I.
Yeah.
We'll be back again in the next week or a couple of weeks for another episode. Hopefully we get some good clips from
Hopefully
this.
we get some good clips.
If there are any good clips from this and you did like listening, please
Come to Run Club.
You come Run Club. Chelmsford, if you're in Chelmsford.
Chelmsford, 7:30 p.m. every Thursday. Run Club.
If you are listening, though, rate the podcast. Goes a long way.
Thank you very much. Should we stop now?
Yeah, we should.
Brilliant. Thank you.